Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today we're going to do Necro teams. So NB10 twins are pretty much like taking over, or they have taken over the meta for all dungeon teams, for giants, dragons, Necro, you name it. But I'm just going to show you like a variety of teams that I've used throughout my progression in my account. So as you can see on the screen here, this is a team that I used when I actually first started to run Necro. I don't really have great runes on these monsters because I did pull my good violent sets, my violent damage dealing sets off of these guys and put them on my twins because that's my main farming team. But just to have some fun, we could just play around with some of these random monsters and go back into like the nostalgic days of running Necro. Yeah, so when so back in the older days. This was like the meta team. So the reason why you want like these specific monsters in your Necro team is one, because none of their damage scales on speed, and Necro has a speed barrier, so it doesn't matter how fast your team is. As if it can't go, like your team can't go more than, I believe it's like 135 speed or like 136, something like that altogether. So if you have monsters that are faster than that, then they'll just cap out at 136. Kind of like if you are going against a Leo, your speed will just match whatever Leo's speed is, and that's just how a Necro works. So it doesn't matter if you have like a 300 speed monster, it's still going to be 130 speed as it goes through the Necro dungeon. So monsters like Hua, Theomars, they still provide like multi-hits, which are also important for this dungeon, but you could just do different types of damage dealers. Just because the damage scaling on other monsters it's just gonna be a lot higher because their damage doesn't scale on speed. So the liches back in the day actually used to be just really effective because one, they do attack break, and then they also do attack speed slow. I mean, not attack break, they do a defense break and attack speed slow, which are actually really beneficial for this dungeon because you're gonna make the boss slower than he already is, and then yeah, so getting the defense break and then getting the slow. That's why the liches were important. And then, as you see in the middle, Adrian, he's the I don't even know what they're called, the archers or whatever the heck they're called, but he's the fire version of them. He was really important back in the day because he provides the crit rate buff and the speed buff. So the speed buff actually does affect your team. It makes you just go faster than the boss, and then the crit rate buff is really nice. So then you don't have to prioritize your runes on providing a whole lot of crit rate. So you can go attack, crit damage, attack, and then that crit rate buff will give you 30% crit rate. So it's really nice. And as you can see, I don't even have my runes really like powered up on this team, but it's still under 2 minutes and 30 seconds, which is a good like beginner team. And you're gonna need a healer, and for like early game, when you do need a healer for Necro, you could either use, I would suggest either doing Fran or Colleen. Colleen you're already going to have built most likely on Violent, and probably Violent and Revenge because you're going to build her for R5, and you should be building your R5 team before you do your Necro teams. And yeah, but in your first teams, you're not going to be able to deal enough damage compared like with your glory towers and everything, and your rune quality. You probably won't be there yet to be able to deal enough damage to the mid boss and then the final boss in order to kill them. So having a healer is pretty important. But I would also say Fran and Colleen would take priority over other healers just because they provide that attack buff as well, and that's just really good for providing the attack buff, and then also multi-hitting. So Colleen does a multi-hit on her skill 1. I think it just hits twice, and then on skill 2 she gets the block healing effect, and then I think it hits like 3 times. So yeah, it's just really good for this dungeon. The attack buff, the heal block, and then the multi-hits. Multi-hits are really important because, as you see up here, the soul barrier effect that the boss has, you have to hit the shield a certain number of times in order to break that shield. And I believe it's 7 times that you have to hit it, so you need a bunch of multi-hitters. And when you have monsters that multi-hit with their skill 1, it just makes it a lot easier to break that shield, just in case that they derp and don't use their skill 2 or skill 3 that you're hoping for them to use. Yeah, so the liches, after this run, will show their skills and why I preferred to use them, but I think with their skill 1, they hit 3 times with the possibility to slow. Their skill 3 hits, I think, 3 to 5 times, and it does a defense break. It also hits pretty hard. And then their skill 2, well, no, it is their skill 2 that hits the 3 to 5 times and does the defense break. And then their third skill is just a passive of whatever the passive is. And then the other monster is Lukasha, and Lukasha used to be like the all-star of this dungeon because her damage multipliers are really high on her skill 3. It's like feather something. But we'll take a look at them real quick. Yeah, so Lukasha, her skill 3, this wolf hunt. So it'll hit the boss 6 times. The Necro boss, it can't get attack bar reduction. So using things like Hua or like Shayna back in the day, and Lukasha and Lauren, none of those attack bar pushbacks are going to work on the boss. He's immune to the attack bar pushback, and you can't use like Tessarion for that to give him like Oblivion. That won't affect it. It wouldn't matter. But yeah, so Lukasha does a lot of multi-hits and has pretty good attack multipliers, and then also has the attack percent lead for fire units. And then Colleen, I don't have her on a violent build, so Violent Revenge would probably be better for this dungeon, but I just have her on the fight sets because, why did I have her on fight? I think I put her on fight for the Wind Rift Beast, so then my other fire units could deal more damage. I think that's why I put her on fight. But yeah, she does the attack buff, and then also does a pretty decent heal, and then does the multi hits on skill 1 and skill 2. And then Adrian, like I said, gives the attack speed boost, and then also the crit rate buff, and that lasts for 3 turns. So that's probably the longest lasting buffs for attack speed and crit rate, because Chilling, which will be in the next team that I show, also does the crit rate buff and the speed buff, but that only lasts for 2 turns. Yeah, and then his skill 2 hits for the target 4 times, so you have a bunch of multi-hitters to break that shield that's on the Necro boss that you have to hit 7 times. And then the skill 1, as long as you crit, then he'll hit I think like 3 times. But if he doesn't crit, then he won't proc that opportunity to hit a 3rd time, so he'll only hit twice. But providing that attack speed and the crit rate buff is really strong for when you're going throughout the dungeon, because it alleviates the amount of crit that you need to rune on your monsters in order to do big damage. Yeah, and then the liches, they just have like really standard runes, and just notice that these runes aren't even powered up, and that their speed is nowhere near like really fast monsters. So like I said prior, you only have to have around like 135 speed, and that's just where it caps out. So it doesn't matter if your monster has 150 speed, 200, 300, they're always going to be at that 135. But the Water Lich did get a buff. I forget how many patches ago. But he'll increase his attack power and defense whenever you receive an attack that doesn't land as a crit. And that just accumulates up to 10 times. So if the Necro boss hits him, then he'll just keep on stacking that up, and then eventually he'll just deal like massive damage to the boss. And then Fuko provides himself with the shield, and then they do the defense break, and then the multi hits with their skill 1. So this is the first team that I used when I first started to run Necro, and still the same runes that I used back in the day. I did take some of the better runes off and put them on my twins, and then we could just showcase those later on. So the next team I used was Chilling, and then I think at this time the twins came out, and then I took out Adrian, and I think I kept one. Of the liches in there. I'm pretty sure it was Fuko, and then I had Shayna and Sabrina. Excuse me. I won't showcase the Shayna because I think I de-runed her, so we could just use the water twins, and I prefer to have them on 100% crit rate, but you don't have to have 100% crit rate on your runes, especially if you have Chilling or Adrian in your team, because they provide that 30% crit rate buff. But we'll use Sabrina and then Talia. But any of the twins actually work here. All of them have elemental neutral. So yeah, so any of the twins will work here. The reason why I run the chilling lead is because chilling lead is 40% accuracy. So I want to really land the heal block, the decrease the enemy speed, and then also the defense break. So all of those are really important um, to help get through the dungeon. So chilling provides the speed decrease with his skill 1, and his skill 1 also hits 3 times. That's why I also recommend chilling. So he'll give the speed and crit rate buff like he just did right there, and then he'll also hit 3 times with his skill 1, so that'll really help break that shield. But the accuracy buff for him as a leader skill is really important because Sabrina, if you don't have high accuracy on Sabrina, and she's one of the only ones to do the defense break on your team, then you just want to provide as much accuracy as possible, and that's where the chilling leader skill really comes in. And then Fuko could also do the decrease the enemy speed, and then also do the defense break as well. And then the team is not self-sustainable, so that's why I have Colleen in there to provide that the heals. But as you can see, she wasn't able to keep up, and that's mainly because I don't have her on Violent, so she's not able to Violent proc and rotate her heals out. So we actually might lose this round, just because I changed up my Colleen specifically for the other dungeons. Yeah, so we got the heal block, and there's the attack speed slow from chilling, and they're all doing a good amount of multi-hits, and I recommend all of your monsters being on Violent so they can take as many turns as possible, just so then they could deal as much damage to, well, first break the shield, and then deal as much damage as possible to the boss. Yeah, so I don't think we're actually going to win this one, because we lost our big damage dealer, which was Talia, and that happens actually quite often, especially with newer teams, mainly because in the waves, the dark golems do reflect damage. So if you do big damage to the dark golem, like Talia does, she'll hit with her skill 3, and it's called like Deadly Dance, and she'll hit, I think she'll hit the golems for about 30 to 40,000 damage. Actually, I'm just going to end this battle here, because we're not going to be able to win it. Yeah, so that was just a mistake on my end, because I do have another Talia that actually has a shield set, and that's probably the one that I should bring in. Yeah, but we'll work through a different team. So as you're getting better rune quality and you're progressing through your dungeons, your glory towers are coming up, you can start going for. You don't need that many multi hitters, but you'll just need some defense breaks, and then just some really hard like heavy hitters. So you could do Lucian, really good for clearing the waves. Actually, is this the right one? It is not. Okay, that's my other Lucian. So this one here, I only have him here as one for the attack percent lead, and then also for the fight runes that he has on there, so he can provide a little bit extra damage to the twins, because those are going to be the ones that I rely on for the damage dealing. And then Lucian's there to clear the waves by himself. But I need somebody on the team to have at least one shield set, because Lucian will end up killing himself off the waves if he deals all that damage to the golems just by himself. So I will bring in the other Talia that has the shield set on her, which should be this one. Yeah, so she has a shield set. Still decent damage, but yeah, I like to rune all my damage dealers on decent rune sets that have 100% crit rate, because I don't want to, because I stop relying on the crit rate buff that Chilling and Adrian provide. So yeah, so we'll use that Talia, and then use a Sabrina. So most people should have probably like a Boomerang and a Twin. It doesn't have to be Sabrina Talia. The reason why I like to use specifically these two is because Talia provides herself with attack buff and a cleanse with their skill 2, and then does the big damage with their skill 3 with the Deadly Dance. And then Sabrina, with her passive, she makes it to where herself and another twin receive 20% less damage from enemies that are granted with beneficial effects, but then they will inflict 20% more damage to enemies that don't have any beneficial effects. So it just really helps them pump out that much more damage. And then Sabrina's really good because she has a chance to defense break with skill 1, multi-hits with skill 3, and then also has a chance to defense break with skill 2 as well. And then we could go with Chilling and then do Colleen. So we'll run this one here, and this will probably be a lot safer than the previous one that we just did with the who was it with the liches, yeah, because the liches just don't hit hard enough. Yeah, but as you see there, Lucian just cleared the wave just by himself, but he needed that shield set because that did mitigate a lot of that reflect damage that those golems did. And it's really nice that the new update made it to where you could actually focus the mid boss now. So if you haven't done that, you can go into settings and go to your boss battle and do mid boss. Just focus just the mid boss, and then also with the dungeon boss. Yeah, the Lucian's just really strong. You want to make sure that he hits for roughly 6,000 damage per card, so then he can clear the waves by himself. Once you get there, then he'll be good to go, and then you could focus on putting better runes on your other monsters. Yeah, but you can just see the massive damage that's coming out from the twins, and it's just really nice that Chilling provides those 3 hits to help break the shield, and then Colleen provides 2 hits also to break the shield. And then Lucian is only there just to clear the waves. But as you can see, we went from like 2-minute runs to now these faster runs that are like around 1 minute or less. Yeah, so we'll try out a different team here. We could do Fran if you want to, and then we could also do Lauren, because a lot of people are probably gonna have Fran and Lauren. So just in case you didn't build your Colleen, or just in case you didn't build like a Chilling for yourself yet, we'll just do Fran and Lauren. Fran and Lauren do have elemental advantage, but then also have elemental disadvantage in this dungeon, so they will get focused. So if you don't have good runes on them that are very tanky, then they're going to get focused and they're probably going to die, especially if they get the defense break landed on them in the mid boss. So my Fran is on Violent Will and then fully skilled up, and you could use her as a lead. Well, no, I wouldn't recommend using her as a leader skill. Because the speed is not important here. But the tankiness does matter, and then just making sure that she's skilled up as well. And then Lauren, I do have her skilled up. She's really easy to skill up because you can continuously run the Cowgirl dungeon until you have enough skills for her. But again, really tanky. She's really fast because I use her for RTA, but that's pretty irrelevant for this dungeon. But if you didn't want to use Lucian, or if you don't have a shield set good enough yet for like a damage dealer set, then you could take out the Lucian. You could put Lauren as the leader, because yeah, she still increases your team's attack power. So actually, we'll do that right now. We'll take out the Lucian. We'll put Lauren as the attack leader, and then we could put in probably like Rayok. Rayok is really good to help rotate your team's skills, and then also all of these monsters do multi hits on their skill 1, except for Rayok. I think he just does. Yeah, so he'll just team up with the skill 2, and then just do 1 hit with the skill 1. Yeah, but Fran, really good because she hits 3 times with skill 1, and then Lauren is really good because she hits 3 times with her skill 1 as well. Then also multi-hits with her skill 2. So that's just really nice for just trying to break that shield. And that's, if you're able to clear the waves, the hardest part is just nuking down the boss. You have to do just as much damage as possible to that boss as quick as possible, because once the boss takes 2 turns, then he's going to steal one of your monsters, and then you should focus down that monster, because yeah, because it's just going to cause issues. It's going to just help kill the rest of your team. Yeah, so you should just focus down that monster, which you can do in the boss battle, and just do dungeon boss. Yeah, the imprisoned soul. Just make sure you pick that one first, so just in case one of your monsters gets stolen, then you're not focusing the boss with 1 less monster on your side of the, because it just steals your monster. Yeah, so this should be monsters that you do have available on your account. Lauren and Fran are farmable. You could easily get those. Rayok, another one that's pretty farmable, and then you can second awaken them. And then just any twins. It doesn't have to be Sabrina Talia. These are just the ones that I recommend. But you could do the wind twins, you could do the fire twins. I wouldn't really recommend doing the fire twins just because they both do AoE damage, and they could end up killing themselves in the waves because of all that reflect damage from the golems. So the water twins are really focused on single target damage, and that's really all you need throughout this dungeon. Yeah, so even with this team, we got the 1 minute dungeon, so definitely not bad there. But we'll switch it back to, instead of Rayok, we'll do with Lauren, wherever she's at, right here. And then we'll put Lucian as the leader. And that should make it a little bit faster, maybe about like 10 or 15 seconds. It's not speed tuned, so that's the only issue that we'll run into of not having like under a 45-second run. Yeah, so Lucian will clear the waves by himself, really easy. And then we just have that shield set for, especially for when Lucian's in here, or for whenever, if you have like the fire twins, you'll want to have somebody on a shield set so they just don't kill themselves without that reflect damage. Because you have 3 golems in here on that one wave. Yeah, so you can see Lucian didn't even take any damage, but he dealt all that damage to himself. And he's already down to like a third of his health bar. Yeah, but if your rune quality isn't there yet, then having a healer in there is really important. And like I said prior, having a healer that gives you attack buff, so then you can keep on pumping out that damage, and then a healer that multi-hits. So having like Chasun, even though she does big heals and gives the attack buff, she doesn't do multi-hitting, so she won't be that effective in this dungeon. But you could do like Mi Yang, the water, the water dancer, sky dancer. You could use Mi Yang if you wanted to, because she does, I think, multi-hits with her skill 2, but the glancing hit with skill 1, not that important. And then she does provide a big heal with her skill 3, and will do a cleanse as well, but she won't provide that attack buff. So that's why I still continue to say use Fran or Colleen. Alright, but now that we got all those teams possibilities out of the way, I'll show you my actual team that I use on a daily basis. And I use Lucian and double Sabrina, double Talia. And the reason why this team is so effective is because I don't need anybody for an attack buff, because Talia, both the Talias will provide themselves attack buff. I have 2 Sabrinas in there to help me provide with a defense break, and then the twins will constantly partner up with each other to do big damage, and then also to break that boss's shield. So Lucian, when he goes through the first wave, he'll use the amplification magic and kill the wave by himself, and then the shield set will help protect and alleviate some of that damage, some of that reflect damage. And then the twins will focus down the mid boss, and then even if Lucian will take a turn, and then the twins will go kill the mid boss. And since he took a turn, his skill 3 will be back up for the next wave. So then he'll kill wave 3 by himself, and then the same thing will happen during the actual boss fight, like here. That Lucian will go, and then the twins will just focus on the boss. Sabrina will provide the defense break, and then Talia's will provide themselves attack buff, and then the big damage with their skill 3. Yeah, so this is the team that I use on a daily basis, and it's actually very safe and very fast. So the best time, as you can see there, is 33 seconds, and I usually average between 35 to like 50 seconds. Every once in a while, I'll miss the defense break, which gets kind of frustrating from Sabrina. So even I would say that if you're gonna skill up your boomerangs, I would skill up Sabrina, because you're really looking for that the harmful effect rate with her skill 1 and skill 2, because you'll see that she misses defense break quite often. But I would highly recommend violent runes, because if they do happen to proc, then that's just gonna alleviate some of the difficulties inside the dungeon. So, but yeah, this is my team. And I will show you the runes afterwards. When you do a speed team, when you're going from like 1 minute and 30 seconds and like 1 minute teams, and you start transitioning over to doing under 1 minute teams, the speed tuning is probably the most important thing that you can do, because you don't want a bunch of random monsters taking turns that are just unnecessary, that just takes up time. Like if you had a Galleon in here and you're just waiting for him to put up an attack buff and a defense break, like you don't need that, because Lucian's able to kill a wave completely by himself. And then the Talias give themselves attack break, and then you have the Sabrina there to provide the defense break. And then since Lucian is able to kill the first wave and the third wave by himself, you don't need any more AoE damage dealers. And then you have Sabrina with the defense break, you have Talia with the attack buff to take down the mid boss, and then they'll also take down the final boss. So we'll go to, I'll show you the runes. So I showed you the Lucian before, he's on the double fight set, and I have him on that, so then the twins could do just as much damage as possible. But I needed the blade set in there just so that I can get him at 100% crit rate, because I don't want him to miss any crit possibilities. Because if he does miss a crit, then like one of the golems would survive, and then the twins would utilize like their skill 2s and skill 3s, and I don't want them to utilize those during the waves. I want them to specifically utilize those during the mid boss and the third boss, or the final boss. Yeah, but they're all on attack, crit damage, attack. And then notice that, so Lucian is the fastest one on the team because I want him to go first, especially during all the waves. I want him to just clear the waves without the twins taking a turn. So you'll see here he has 144 speed, which is actually about 9 speed faster than what Necro actually needs. And then the twins, all of them are going to be pretty close to about 130 speed. These ones don't really need to be speed tuned. They just need to be slower than the Lucian. And Lucian, alright, so this one is the attack, crit damage, attack. Still 100% crit rate, high attack, and high crit damage. So that's the only thing that you're looking for Talia. And then I just have her on the shield set, so then just to provide that safety net for the team, especially for the Lucian when he uses his skill 3 on the waves. Here's the first Sabrina. She's on just Violent Blade just to get that crit rate high, and then I have her on really high accuracy in order for her to land that defense break. And okay, yeah, so it doesn't show the skill ups here, but in the skill ups, once you do skill her up, then she gets, I think, 15% harmful effect rating, which is to an extra 15% chance to land the defense break. So skill ups, I would say, are important. They're not necessary as long as you can rune good accuracy on her, but the harmful effect chance just helps when if and when you have those skill ups available. But again, less than 130 speed, but she still moves before the waves. I guess I can go into that. So with your glory towers, you want to make sure that your Sky Tribe totem is around level 6, and as long as that level 6 or higher, then you can rune around like 126 speed, 127-ish, and you'll move before all the waves and the bosses in every single dungeon, your giants, dragons, and necro dungeon. So Lucian will always be able to go first and kill the waves, and then the twins will always take a turn before the enemy takes a turn, as long as your Sky Tribe totem is level 6 or higher, and your twins or whatever monster is around 126 to 127 speed. Alright, so here's my other Talia. This is the harder hitting one, and she's harder hitting just because she's not as tanky as the other one and doesn't have the shield set, so she's just here just for straight damage with attack, crit damage, and attack. Fully skilled up, so she just does big damage. She hits for about 40,000 per hit on her skill 3 with a deadly dance. And then, yeah, just big crit damage, big attack, and maximum crit rate. I can't stress enough to always have maximum crit rate because you don't want to miss a crit. And then the other Sabrina is just on a broken set. I figured that since all the rest of them are on violent, that if she's just on a broken set, then it's fine. And I just wanted to maximize to make sure that she has a 55% crit rate. I mean, not 55% accuracy or higher, the 100% crit rate, and then to still deal decent amount of damage. So she's just on an attack, crit damage, attack build with good accuracy subs. And then again, she's at 127 speed, so she'll move before the waves. And yeah, that's really all I have for Necro. So the big things to take away from this is when you're progressing through the Necro dungeon, you've like the main things that you need, especially in the beginning, you're going to need multi-hitters. You're going to have decent violent runes, preferably. You don't have to have violent runes, but it definitely helps with the multi-hitting. And then you're going to need a healer, preferably one that gives attack buff, so Fran or Colleen, especially because they multi-hit. So you're going to want multi-hitters, violent runes, as much crit rate as you can get, and if you can't rune with a lot of crit rate, then either bring in Chilling or Adrian. I would prefer that you bring in Chilling, just because he provides a lot more utility, just because he hits 3 times with skill 1 and provides the attack speed slow, and then also gives the crit rate buff and the attack speed buff on your entire team, just like Adrian does. So you could use either one, but I just think Chilling is better. And Chilling is going to be more versatile for the rest of your gameplay. He's like a good counter to Rakan. He's a good counter to like Balaguer. I mean, not Balaguer. Um, I don't know. A lot of like immunity teams, he'll be good against them. Like Wusa, Amelia, he'll constantly just steal the buffs off of the enemy with his skill 1, and it hits 3 times as well. Excuse me. And Chilling also provides the accuracy lead on skill 1. So if you have defense breakers on your team and they need that accuracy, then the Chilling leader skill will be able to provide that accuracy. And then, yeah, once you transition out of using healers, then you really need to focus on being able to kill the waves as fast as possible, because your team can't heal, obviously, without a healer. So prioritizing really big damage is important, and then breaking that shield as fast as possible, getting that defense break on there, and then trying to find monsters that have self-sustainability. Some people do run like Vampire Illusions, so then they don't have to do shield sets, which is a possibility, but you have to run Necro enough to get good enough Vampire runes for that. So it's a lot easier just to get the shield sets, since you've been running dragons for X amount of months now. Probably have a couple of good shield sets laying around. Yeah, so that's why that would be easier. So, yeah, I think that's all I have for this video. So, hopefully you guys learned something, enjoyed the video, and yeah, leave me a comment below. Maybe some of the monsters that you use for your Necro team. Other monsters that I left out, I would say like the pandas are okay, like Fingon is alright, and then the fire panda, since you already used the fire panda in R5, if you fused it for R5, you could also use the fire panda for Necro. I didn't showcase it because I've never built the fire panda on this account, but yeah, you can use them as a multi-hitter, and it's effective because he does hit 3 times with skill 1, and I think 3 or 4 times with skill 3. And then also provides like a cleanse on himself, and then the healing, whatever, like every time a monster takes a turn they heal, kind of like what Ariel and all of them do. But yeah, so that's all I have. Thanks for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.